What's going on, guys? Welcome to a draft review of a brand new league in which we've joined. The UBC unfortunately has slowed down. The PTL is still in full force, but I figured joining another league wouldn't be too time intense, and I figured doing YouTube. I mean, 3 leagues with the UBC kind of being a little bit slower because of college and stuff would be kind of wise. So yeah, we're kind of going to go through my draft, what I picked, why I picked them, why I feel like they go together. It's a little bit different compared to how I've drafted before. My whole aim at the start was to try some new things and also some existing things which I know work, and wanted to give it a go again. So yeah, we'll jump into it. Firstly, I'm in the leagues called the Sky Pillar Pokemon Federation. So if any of you guys see videos popping up on my channel from the Sky Pillar Pokemon Federation, then you know exactly what it is, and I'd certainly suggest giving it a watch because I feel like I've drafted pretty well. There's some strong Pokemon in here, which I know for a fact you'll want to see. Some of which I know were in the GBA final. So they've got a good reputation. Jumping into the first pick, I debated, because naturally your first pick in a league is probably something that you're going to build around. And really, I mean, naturally your first pick will sometimes be a mega. If not, it'll be something that you really want to use, or you feel that something like an extra drill or something with a lot of power that's worth a first round pick. But I went for a mega in my first round, and that was Mega Venusaur. Mega Venusaur to me was my first ever draft pick in competitive Pokemon. And my first season I didn't go all that well. I think I was like 2-9 or something ridiculous. So I felt like I didn't give it justice, and I know how good it is. I've seen it in every single season I've played. I know how bulky it is. I know how versatile it can be. I've seen it being run as a sword stance set, but typically you'll see being run defensively, physical or specially, either way. Naturally, it does get the ability Thick Fat, which reduces ice and fire. I really can't remember that. Reduces ice and fire type damage to just neutral rather than super effective. So that's obviously nice. 2 weaknesses: Flying and Psychic, of which I definitely have them covered in especially one Pokemon, which we'll go into. But yeah, that was my first pick. It seems that bulky Megas are my kind of niche, so yeah, we'll rock out with that, see how it goes, and hopefully this season I can do it some justice. Second pick, I wanted to obviously pair something up with Mega Venusaur, but I felt the Pokemon wasn't it was going to still be around for a few more rounds, so I did leave it, and we decided to go this round with Latias. Latias being the red and white one rather than the blue, more offensive one. Latias is obviously the more defensive one. This draft, typically I went kind of more bulky. I find that's more suited to my playstyle. When I drafted like a stally kind of balanced-ish team, I did finish top of one of the UBC. Top of the league, UBC season 2. So I'm kind of going to go with the flow again with a little bit more kind of bulky offense. I see Latias as obviously it can be run as a wall breaker. Stick specs on it, stick life orb, drop some Dracos, some Psyshocks. It has a lot of coverage, which is nice, and obviously it gives me Venusaur. I mean, EQ is predominant in competitive play, so something which can resist that or be immune to it, i.e. Latias or a bird, is always good to have. And it can eat up the odd knockoff, it can eat up the odd HP fire with a lot of SPDF investment or a lot of physical defense investment. So I'm really looking forward to using Latias. And I mean, I've played against it a few times, the Carmine variant, and it's so hard to take down. The good ice type moves are typically special, and with the Carmine, it's so hard to break. Knockoff's a good dark move, but obviously once its item's gone, then it's doing relatively low amounts. Next up, to patch up, I wanted a fairy. In the PTL, I don't actually have a fairy on my team, and in my last battle, which was against Marcella, which has actually gone up today as well, every time someone like Gudra came in, it would just drop a Draco and something would die, or something would take a lot of damage. So I realised how important fairies are, and I thought in that draft I could get away with it because I had so much power, but I really couldn't. So yeah, we decided to go with Sylveon. One of the best fairies in the game, in my opinion, if not the best. Probably behind that. Probably more of a defensive support cleric set. Is kind of Sylveon's forte, but stick specs on this and hyper voice is hard to work around unless you got some bulky steel type, which we'll get onto in the next pick. But yeah, I mean, Sylveon kind of it supports a team extremely well with wish passing. It's got heal bell. Like I say, it's got pixelate as the ability, so normal type moves are fairy. So hyper voice. It gets the likes of Moonblast as a special variant. It gets a lot of different coverage, and I mean, it's viable with the specs to run like HP fire to take on the steel types, or HP ground to take on a poison type, or you just switch out to Latias. So they pair up extremely well, those two, in my opinion. And obviously, it's got a lot of natural bulk, which is good. Next up, I realised that perhaps some of someone like Talonflame or perhaps Mega Gardevoir could really take advantage of this team. So I wanted something to kind of resist those hits, and also be able. I needed a spinner. I needed someone who's basically like hazard control in one, and that's why I picked Forretress. Forretress to me is a brilliant Pokemon. I understand the 4x weakness, but with all the hazards, with Sturdy Explosion is a thing. Sturdy Custap Explosion. I mean, it gets Volt Switch for one. It's durable, so steel coverage. I mean, it's not that much an offensive option, but defenses, they're through the roof. Not very good on the special side, but yeah, I mean, you can bring Latias into the equation for that to take HP fires, or EQs, or something. Well, EQs are neutral anyway on Forretress. So yeah, I mean, expect some kind of hazard stacking this season, and it worked against me in another game, which is going up tomorrow, which you'll see. So yeah, I feel like Forretress is going to really work well for my team, and I hope it does me justice, being my fourth pick and all. Next up, we will go straight into this one. We decided to go for Jolteon. Jolteon typically doesn't stay around for very long in a draft. 5th round is probably a little bit excessive compared to perhaps some other Pokemon that I picked, but I really wanted Jolteon. I did a competitive or a beginner's guide in using Jolteon competitively, and just going to the battles. I had a few, and it really was effective. Managed Specs Volt Switch does absolutely tons, even as a neutral hit. It's one of the fastest Pokemon in the game with like base 130 or something ridiculous. And yeah, it just brings kind of momentum to your team. It's not very bulky. It hasn't got the best move pool, but it can run a sub baton pass set. It can run a natural kind of Volt Turn Core. All those kind of shenanigans, I felt like, and also stab electric in the tier to take out someone like a Suicune or a Blastoise or something is obviously extremely important. Although I got Mega Venusaur, typically it will be run defensive, so Jolteon is kind of my primary answer to the bulky waters and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the first 5 done. We'll get into the last of the first half, and I'm revisiting Pokemon which I love dearly. This Pokemon is has been one of my favourite in the game since it very first came out, so it's a first gen Pokemon. I have done a beginner's guide on it, and that Pokemon is Ditto. Ditto gives you 720 odd Pokemon in one Pokemon. It can seriously hinder an opponent's ability to prepare for you. Naturally, they won't bring super effective moves, so it will force dragons to not bring Dragon Pulse or Draco Meteor, or I can sack something, go into Ditto. I've done it before. I've said it in my competitive series or my beginner's guide. Mega Gardevoir got up to 2 Calm Minds against me, sacked a Chansey, and I went into Ditto on Mega Gardevoir and I killed all 6 of his Pokemon with it. It's so hard to work around, and naturally, I mean, this thing won't come every week, because the more people see it, the more people will find ways to work around it, so it will come when it's needed. And yeah, I mean, I really love Ditto. I found out how to best use him competitively, and it's kind of viable with different sets. So you can run a Scarf, to be on the safe side. Or you can stick a berry on it if you wanna reduce the damage. You can stick lefties on it. You can kind of do anything to kind of over. Because I mean, when Ditto comes in, your opponent will probably switch out, or he'll sack his Pokemon. So even if you speed tying, you might scare him out anyway. So that's kind of a worry for opponents. So bringing a Scarf isn't always necessary. So yeah, that's the first 6 kind of wrapped up. So we went Mega Venusaur, Latias, Sylveon, Forretress, Jolteon, and Ditto. Ditto actually wasn't my 6th pick. I realise I've cut the list a little bit short. But yeah, we'll go with Ditto as my 6th pick for now. In 7th place, or 6th it should be, is a Pokemon that I've never used before. I know has unlimited amounts of power. It's a bird. It hits extremely hard. It gets coverage for pretty much a lot of Pokemon. It's hard to switch into, and that Pokemon is Staraptor. I may have one of the best checks into it in Forretress. I don't know. I haven't checked his fire type coverage. But yeah, I mean, Staraptor to me, I've been up against it and preparing for it. Most things get 2-hit KO'd by it. Stick a band on it, stick a Scarf on it, you're bound to kill something with it. So I'm really excited to use this Pokemon. And yeah, I mean, I think it's base 100, the speed, which is okay. So sticking a Scarf on it probably is probably your best bet. But if you want to stick a band on it and just kind of go to town on perhaps a slower team, then, or if it wants to wall break a defensive core, it will. It's going to do it for you. So yeah, that was my next pick, and I'm super excited to use Staraptor, probably out of more than any other Pokemon on my team. Next up, which was the 7th pick, so Ditto was 8th. The 7th pick was Chandelure, or Chandelier, I don't know how you pronounce it, but Chandelure. I needed a Ghost type. Ghost types are super good in this format. There isn't many switch-ins for it. Kind of neutral on most grounds, and also it gives me that super hard hitting fire type. So Spec Chandelure is hard to switch into. It gets Energy Ball as well. It gets obviously gets the Ghost type coverage in Shadow Ball, Fire Blast, and it can even run Pain Split as an option. So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to use Chandelure. It's not the most bulky Pokemon, and not really the fastest. I think it's base 70 or base 80. But yeah, I feel like if you're going up against like a Tangrowth or something which is seriously hard because it's Regenerator, then you're going to need to bring the Chandelure. Next up, we would have had Ditto, but we'll move on to that. Believe it or not, I don't know how I got this Pokemon as my 9th pick. And I picked Lucario. Now, fighting type, for one, I don't have one. I do have superpower on a couple of my Pokemon, but it's not stab, which is ridiculous. So if you're going to come across someone like a Blissey or a Chansey, then you're going to struggle. Snorlax, all those normal bulky type Pokemon, you're really going to struggle to beat. So Lucario to me made sense. It's another answer to fairy types, which naturally this team could actually struggle with, because Forretress isn't exactly a bulky, he's not exactly a hard hitting steel type. So I figured Lucario with both of his offensive options. I mean, this thing as well gets so much coverage, and I was talking to my friend the other day about it, and the only thing it doesn't get, which will probably make it an Uber pick like Mega Lucario, is it's not Vacuum. Vacuum Wave's a special one. It's Mach Punch. So if this got to +2 and click Mach Punch, it'll be game over. This thing will be Ubers, and people will be quitting Pokemon, because it is seriously. I really love Lucario. I've never used it competitively though, and I'm super excited to use it. It's not the best typing. I mean, it can't take an EQ, it can't take fire type hits. Psychic types are neutral, which is nice, but I mean, it hasn't got the best defenses, so most of the time it probably will be an Oko. Fairy type, so it's got a lot of weaknesses, but I feel like its offensive presence kind of outweighs those. So yeah, that was really it, the last bit of the power. So yeah, we'll jump into the 10th pick. You'll notice that we don't have a ground type. So it was a mistake on my behalf, really. I mean, I wanted all those Pokemon, and there's only, I mean, with all the types in the game, you can only cover one of everything, I believe. I don't know if there's 12, 11, 10, there's something around that number. But we dipped into a really low tier and managed to pick up Golurk, another ghost type. But most importantly was the ground. I think this... What's that move that doubles his speed? Is it agility or rock polish or something like that? I think it's probably rock polish, in fact. But yeah, I mean, stab ground is all I needed to stop the kind of people look at my team and going, oh, I can just volt switch everywhere. No, you can't, because I do have a Golurk and I will stop that. He also can set up rocks so we can punish switches. Yeah, I believe Golurk was a good option for the team. But most of all, that ground stab, he probably won't come all that much because it's extremely slow. But I mean, it's a spin blocker, like Chandelier. It's not weak to rocks like Chandelier, so it works well if I wanted to bring a more defensive ghost type. But yeah, and then next up we actually picked another ghost because I felt like I didn't have enough bulk, and that was Dusclops. And the reason I actually picked Dusclops was it's more defensive than Golurk, for one. Golurk's for a specific purpose, being the ground type, because there wasn't any other ground types, if I'm honest. So I would have picked Dusclops and some other ground type, but Golurk was my option, my only option really. Apart from, I can't remember, there was something else, but it wasn't all that great and I didn't want it. So next up was Dusclops. Bulky ghost type, sticking a violet on it, good luck taking it down. Will-O-Wisp, which is beautiful. I think it's got the curse set, which makes it extremely hard to beat. I haven't really looked into the coverage massively, but a bulky ghost type, if I needed a certain switch. And again, it won't be coming to many games. I say that now, but I haven't really looked into everyone's team as such. So yeah, depends on what the calcs say. He's an option for me, and he's there. So yeah, to kind of wrap up the draft, I was actually probably spent the most time searching for my last pick, because although it was the lowest tier, so typically they're from PU or the poo tier. I wanted something that would at least give me something to work with, not something that's just going to sit on the bench and make up numbers. I wanted something that I could potentially bring to one game that could be effective and go from there. So that Pokemon ended up being Ariados, for the use of Sticky Web, obviously. I think, does it get Swarm? I think Swarm boosted Mega Horns or something along those lines, which is nice against Dark and Psychic types. But apart from that, it's there to set up Sticky Webs against perhaps someone with minimal hazard control. And yeah, that really finishes up the draft. There should be a picture of them all popping up on your screen now. So to go over them, first pick was Mega Venusaur, second pick was Latias, third pick was Sylveon, then we have Forretress, Jolteon, Staraptor, so I'm going to say them in the right order this time: Staraptor, Chandelure, Ditto, Lucario, Golurk, Dusclops, and Ariados. Super excited to use this team. I am already prepped for my week 1 battle against Robbo, which is happening today in the next 20 minutes, if he hasn't already messaged me. So look forward to that going up tomorrow, if you see this today, which is the 3rd of October. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. If you're super hyped for the season, then drop a like down below. Subscribe to watch the season unfold. I know a lot of people like to watch a season from start, so they feel a lot more involved. And yeah, apart from that, guys, I will see you in week 1 against Robbo. Bye bye.